Before we begin, I want to invite you into the Jubilee Haven Patreon community, a quiet space where we go deeper into healing, spiritual connection, and the quiet mysteries that guide us. If this podcast has touched you, your support here helps me keep creating these conversations. The link is patreon.com/deathismylife, and I will put the link in the show notes. Thank you. Hello and welcome. Today I'm here with Jimmy. Hello. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, of course. My name's Jimmy. I work in the healthcare space. I've worked there for about 5 years, managed a couple different teams. Yeah, I enjoy doing that. Didn't think it was going to be something that I would be doing when I started, and have really just fell in love with it, and it's taken off.
Cool. Yeah. And you're in a pretty cool position right now.
Yeah. I people management, it's a fun thing, and wasn't exposed to that earlier in my career, and have just really enjoyed it.
What did you want to be when you grew up, when you were little?
Ooh, that's a good question. And it's so funny because when people ask that, first thing that actually comes up is like podcaster. I think I told that to you.
When you were a kid, you wanted to do that?
No, not as a kid.
Like,
as a kid, it was like everybody's like,
exist.
oh, firefighter, police officer,
astronaut.
Like, yeah. But I would say like now, if you asked, I would be like, oh, podcaster. Like love talking to people and learning about people and all the different things. So privileged to you'd have me on.
Yeah. And this might be your intro into podcasting, starting one of your own.
Break into it. Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll teach you everything you need to know because I've just learned it in the last 4 weeks.
That's perfect.
So it's fresh.
Yeah. I love that.
Okay. Yeah. And that's funny because Jimmy wouldn't tell me what he wants to talk about. And he won't tell me what he doesn't want to talk about. Except he did warn me that he's going to be interviewing me.
Oh, okay. So. Well, I learned from your episode with Madeline that I can't tell you what I didn't want to talk about because you're going to ask me exactly what I didn't want you to ask me. So we're just taking the chance that you just don't ask me about those things, and we'll see.
Fair. That's okay. I mean, she's my sister.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. So probably wouldn't do that to you.
But I was more curious, like, why you wanted to start this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so my friend and I are both hospice nurses, and we were talking about starting a podcast for hospice like years ago. And we're, obviously we never did because there's just so much to talk about. And like, even just between us, like it is crazy sometimes all the stuff we encounter, and sometimes just talking about our own situations can help release the grief and the tension that we have bottled up throughout just like one of our days. Like we experience the worst of the worst on a daily basis, right? Like I'm going from one urgent visit to the next urgent visit to a death visit to a pain management crisis. And so it can be really intense. And where's our self-care, So we had been talking about starting that. And then I don't know, like we just didn't. But then I thought about it again and like, I'm just going to do it because why not? But I didn't want to limit it to just hospice.
Yeah.
So as you've probably listened to my my podcast, it's pretty general, but it's all connected.
Right.
Because some people die before they get on hospice. Mm-hmm. Some people have grief without a death. So I wanted it to be broad so that I didn't limit myself.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I think it's super interesting that you say that because I've been in this space now for maybe 5 years professionally. And I would say that I'm a big self-learner and self-teacher and always look for different ways to kind of learn more about what I'm doing. And so obviously love podcasts and go to that and try and find all that I can listen to about this. And there's not a lot. I mean, there's not a lot of spaces like this where people talk about what you're talking about or just this area. Yeah, there's talks on leadership from people in those kinds of roles and the culture. But that's why it's super interesting to hear kind of what you have.
Yeah, I felt like it was like kind of unique too. I know there was a grief cast, but that kind of hasn't been on the air for a few years. That was a good one. There's just not too many resources. And from what I've seen, everybody has a different story. Everybody grieves differently, but we all grieve. Yeah. So it's like, we're all the same, but we're all different.
Yeah.
And so I'm just hoping by keeping it broad that I can connect to different people. And I'm bringing in all these different spiritual ideas. So I'm hoping that somebody can find something that they connect with on my podcast and find comfort in that.
That was interesting when we were talking prior to like getting this all set up. I was just kind of asking you, about that, and hearing that perspective is super interesting of saying, we're not trying to talk about one specific thing. We're open to everything, and that someone might take something away from that. So that's super cool. Why do you feel like you're an expert in the area?
Oh, well, Jimmy, let's refer to episode 1.
I listened to that. I'm just saying.
If you could hear it. So we were just talking about my episode 1, my intro. He's like, it sounds like you're whispering. Okay, I was. Because half the time I have to do my podcast when everybody in my household is asleep and in my closet. So if it's really muffled and whispery, that's why. Today we're not. We're using Rockhaven Studios.
Very fancy.
So it's super fancy. By the way, most of my guests, we are in the studio together and the door's shut, but Jimmy's muscles take up the whole room, so we can't open the door.
That's crazy.
Keep the door closed. Yes. Okay. So I've had a lot of history with death. Like, it seems weird. I mean, it's not necessarily all traumatic deaths in my life. Like I had an uncle die. That was the first memory I have of like a human dying. And I was pretty young and I wasn't close with, I was close like in that, like I saw him all the time. He would babysit us, but he was kind of like, he would tease us and he would like make me scratch his back with the Barbie rake. And I'm like, I just want to play. Like, why are you making me do this? And so, I was like a 5-year-old and you're like, okay. Like we didn't like, I guess, bond or anything. Like, I think we would be like awesome friends now if, I had got to grow up with him.
Right.
But that was the first event. Okay. And so my parents, we were there with him throughout the whole thing. He was there in my grandparents' house where he died. I believe he died there. If not, like he was there until the very end. So it's just like exposure. I've had dogs die, cats die. I had my grandparents on both sides die, and like closely, both my grandparents died in my parents' homes on hospice. I remember letting my daughter crawl around the bed with grandpa after he was passed, and like it seems weird, but it was, and like she didn't react to it. Like she wasn't like trying to wake him up or shocked or anything by it. Right. Like I just did the same thing my parents did with me.
Right.
I remember one time taking her to the pediatrician office and she was like 2 years old and she was looking at a little dead spider on the floor. And the pediatrician was like, "Oh, the spider's sleeping." And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "No, the spider's dead." Like, that's so weird for a doctor to like shield a child from a dead spider, It's so strange. So that was kind of when I made my decision, like, I'm also going to expose my daughter to the truth. So, we've had like funerals for our animals. And just, like one of our alpacas died and we had a big funeral. My brother came and played the guitar. It was like, it was kind of comical almost, but like it's not, because it's honoring the life of that being.
Right.
And acknowledging the passing, I think. Yeah.
So I've listened to you. You talked about that quite a bit in the past on some of your past podcasts. And you talked about how your parents like wanted you to be there and wanted you to be present and, be there for the whole journey. And that can be, I feel like obviously every family is different, but some families, like you were talking about the doctor, some people really try to shield their kids or their family from those things. Do you feel like because you had those experiences so early, that's what led you to be in the career that you're in now?
I think it helped me in a sense, but my siblings aren't in this field and there. I mean, kind of, but you know, my
Close.
brother's a
Yeah.
musician,
Okay.
you know, so like, and my brother was the one who actually lived in the house with my grandparents while they were going through. So he's the one who was actually hands-on and, you know, helping them in the bathroom. And he was like 8 years old, maybe.
Wow.
So, you know, yes and no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think it helped. I have seen, I mean, like I do go to some houses and, you know, like the family wants us to help more. And they're like, oh, this is my son, but he shouldn't be helping. And I'm like, that's a man. He was like 18 years old. Like you're trying to shield him from grandma being sick, you know? And I mean, I don't understand that actually, because I think it's such a part of life. And I think it's an honor to get to take care of your family members. If it grosses you out, like that's one thing. Like you don't have to wipe her butt, but to shield them from the whole process that she's declining and robbing them of the helping her part. No, I don't understand that part.
That's actually really interesting you bring that up, because I have that conversation with families quite a bit. And
you do.
I actually tell them the opposite. So it's interesting to hear your perspective, because for me, in talking with, you know, a person or their family and who's going through that, I feel like there is the chance for you to become that caregiver so quickly. And then that period of time or that period of life can last for a long time. And that would be your memory of that person or your family member. And so for me, in talking with them, I say, hey, you know, that's why we're here. That's why we want to come in and work with them and help you where we can. And so it's interesting because I mean, everybody has, some people come back and they're like, no, I want to be part of this.
Yeah.
And,
some of them are every single day.
Yeah,
you're like,
exactly.
do you want us to do anything?
Yeah. And so, no, it's interesting to hear that.
Everybody's different.
Yeah.
I guess, job security for you.
that's true.
No, I think it's important to take care of the people who took care of you.
I agree. Yeah.
That's my and I don't judge anybody. I will never judge anybody for not. I totally understand. I mean, I just said I don't understand, but I also do. You know, I'm not judging anybody who can't for whatever reason. If you can't, you can't. I just do think that the exposure and the honesty is important.
Yeah, I agree. I fully agree with the honesty part. I mean, I think it's really important. Like you said with the doctor, it's so interesting that, you know, people cover that up, and then you see emotions come out later in life from finally being exposed to something. And yeah. And
I think, like, my husband talks about, I don't know if it's a dog or cat or whatever, but it's like, oh yeah, we found a nice home for him. Like, no, the animal died and you couldn't tell your two sons. Like, I think they were older. You know, I don't think they were super young when it happened. And yeah, it's so funny. It's very interesting. Yeah, the difference.
So you talk about grief a lot, which has been pretty interesting to me, because my wife will be the first one to tell you I'm not don't talk about that, but
you don't talk about it, but you must have some grief. I mean, Jimmy, if you could see Jim, we're going to take pictures actually. Oh, okay. That's my new thing. We're going to take pictures. But yeah, he's like the I don't know. Smile face. Like, yeah, you look like the picture of I've never had grief in my life. Yeah. But that's not fair.
Right. Yeah, no, I certainly have, but I'm curious, like, how everybody does it so differently. It's that's why I think this is so interesting that you talk about this. But how do you grieve?
I am not the best at it. That's maybe why I'm doing this too, because I think in the past anyway, I have blocked things out. So I talk a lot about my grandmother's death. That's because I was very, very close with her. I was very close with my grandfather too, but for some reason, grandma's just hit me harder. I don't know. And I just blocked her out. I wouldn't do anything that we used to do together. I would cry every time I would think about her. Like, it was not healthy. So I just blocked her out because I was so sad that, I missed her so much. Okay. And then so for the longest time, I didn't even think about her, and that's almost worse because I lost the memory of her. And I think I finally released that. started doing some of those things we did together. And now I've been receiving more messages. Nothing from her until like the last month. And now she's like all over me, sending me all these messages.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I mean, I believe in that, so whatever.
And you talked about that before. They're ladybugs?
It's a sand dollar.
Oh, sand dollar.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That's super cool.
Like they just keep like being thrown at me now.
Yeah.
Like, and never. Like, I didn't even see a sand dollar after she died until like they started coming to me, and now they just won't stop, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, my grandmother, it's been butterflies. Yeah, and obviously butterflies are beautiful, and you normally notice them when they fly by, but I feel like now, ever since she passed, it's been such a bigger part of like, hey, there's grandma. She's just saying hello.
Cute. I love that.
So yeah, it's interesting to have that thought, because I don't have that association with every family member, every person that I've lost. It's more of just like thoughts around it. But she's certainly one that kind of the family has all come together and said like, butterflies, it's butterflies.
Yeah,
so,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess grandpa's is like that too, like bald eagle. Just because he was like, hardcore American, like,
Love that.
and the patriarch, and that's like, the bird,
Right.
So whenever we see a bald eagle, it's not a sign that that's grandpa necessarily. There's bald eagles all over here where we live, but it's a reminder of him, which is nice, But then there's like, it could be not, but it's like, it opens your heart to them. Yeah. But one time we were all camping for my brother's birthday, I believe it was, and he caught a fish, and a bald eagle went boop and took his fish. So that's like, okay, that's a little more hardcore,
That's super cool.
Yeah.
So talking about grief a little bit, I feel like everybody, when they talk about grief, always just talks about family or, their direct family. And you had kind of asked me before about my grief or how, that might be. And I feel like for me personally, it seems to be that there's some kind of acceptance with like family that, what's going to happen eventually. I feel like the hardest things have been non-family passings, no relation, but I mean, good friends have been, big parts of my life. I feel like that has been the hardest things for me, which feels weird.
Well, and is that maybe because you're younger? So if you're losing friends, it's kind of more like an untimely loss, or do you mean death, or do you mean loss of relationship?
No, I mean they've passed, but this has been more of like father figures, mentors, grandparent age or parent age. And that is, that's certainly taken a toll, but it's weird to me that like family members don't have that same reaction, I guess you could say. So I've always just kind of been curious about that.
Yeah. So how did you get through your grief about them losing them?
I am certainly a push it down kind of person. And especially because of and so this is in relation to talking about family. It's always been like a push it down kind of thing. And I'll grieve later because, my family needs that support right now. And then I just don't really. I don't leave space for it or whatever. But when I talk about those friends or those mentors or whoever it's been, that has had a significant impact. And it's not something that I could just like push down. And so that's what's always been weird. And, now that I say it out loud, maybe it's because I don't have like to be strong, you could say, for your family or whatever it is. It's somebody that has a bigger impact on you, and not that, I mean, my family's obviously had big impacts, but yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. So do you like show sadness or anger? How does your grief manifest when it does come out?
I feel like it's more of just like talking about them and talking about who they were. And that is, it's not sadness. I mean, yeah, there is certainly some sadness there, but I mean, people can't live forever. So I there's a little bit of that. And no, it's certainly not anger. It has been from time to time. The friends that I talk about, some of them have passed because of just random incidents or things like that shouldn't have happened. But I say shouldn't. We can't control everything. So yeah, and it's more of just I enjoy like talking about them with people and talking through their life and how they made impacts on everyone. And yeah,
that seems really healthy. That seems like when I've started doing this, I feel like I'm grieving more appropriately because I'm able to like tell it to somebody.
I mean, okay, to be fair though, when I say that, it's not like I just go around talking about it. Like I talk about it maybe once a year or something. And so, I don't know.
That's what you need. That's fine. But I talked to somebody yesterday about that, and either talking to somebody about it or talking to them. Like he was saying after one of his friends passed, he texted that person's phone and was like, this is how I feel, and that was very helpful to him. And I know that that's like, write them a letter, tell them how you feel,
I've certainly done that before. That's an interesting concept because, you're not writing to anyone, but in your head you are. So yeah, it's...
Yeah. I had like, when I left the place that we worked together, it was not necessarily amicable. I didn't get fired, but like they kind of almost tried to act like I did. I don't know. It was the weirdest thing. And it made me grieve so hard because I had given everything I had while I was there, 100% all the time. And then it was like, I thought I was going to have my last day, which was also like helping because nobody could cover that day. So I'm like, I'll just work it, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll work it. And then I'll have my like opportunity to say bye. And they're like, here's your stuff. Your desk has been cleaned out and we don't need you that day. And I was like, what? And I'm like, well, that's really super awkward. Somebody went through all my stuff and packed it up for me. And now I don't even have the opportunity to say bye to people I've, like the residents, who I grew to love. They didn't even know I was leaving because I didn't know I was leaving either, really. Right. It was the most awkward thing. And then I think part of it stemmed from like a person I had actually been friends with for like 10 years.
Right.
And my bad for bringing her to you guys. Sorry. It was just so awkward. But that caused me to grieve. And that wasn't the loss of a person or it was like something I thought would have a nice peaceful end and I'd be the opposite of welcome, not the opposite of welcome, but like goodbye, like bon voyage. No, it was like really horrible. It was really horrible. And I don't know why it happened, but the point was like, I wrote that person a text and I was like, this is how it feels that you've done this to me, please don't respond. Okay, bye. Yeah.
Just have to get it out.
Yeah. So it was like the grief of the loss of a friend, plus the loss of I didn't get to say bye to the residents, plus this, like my reputation kind of means a lot to me because I've worked really hard. I've done everything everybody asked me for this entire time I was there. And then like one rumor or something, I don't know what it was, but something got around and then they're like, here, goodbye, pushing you out, but we're not firing you because we don't want to get in trouble. Bye.
Yeah. Wow.
It was very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I can imagine. But I think, you talk about that's really interesting that you say that you had a lot of grief with that and it wasn't a passing of a person and it was an incident that caused that.
And it was like, it was hurtful. it just caused grief because I was like, oh, well, shoot, this was something I had going, when you leave a job, you grieve anyway because you're moving on. It's like a chapter you're closing and you grieve and you move on. But this one was slammed shut for me and the pages were all torn up. It's like, I don't like to leave stuff like that at all. And I still don't know what I did. And my boss, comes on here with me and hangs out. And he was like, I don't know what the heck happened either. Yeah. That was he was off for that week.
Okay.
And so it was the most bizarre timing situation, everything. And it caused a lot of grief. And then before that, I had applied for a job of somewhere, reapplied somewhere that I had left amicably, and everything was wonderful. And they were like, come back. And I interviewed, and they're like, okay, we'll see you next Monday, But then something happened to halt it. I don't know what it was. And weird. I'm like, this is so weird. And that I grieved too, because I was like, this is something I really thought I just don't, not knowing is really hard. Not getting the job you want when you have built your reputation and it was good and they invited you back and they were like, come apply. And you're like, okay. And then
hey, here's the application, but we don't want you.
Just kidding.
That's really interesting. So while you've been talking about that, I've kind of been trying to rack my brain around incidents in my life where I've felt that way. And I come back to one thing, and this is funny because it's been as long as I can remember. This always is the case. I grew up playing a ton of sports, always being super involved, some kind of athletics in whatever form it was. And the hardest day for me was the last day of the season. Was when we were going to, leave those people and didn't necessarily know where we were going. Even if we knew we might be coming back the next year.
Yeah, it's just this different vibe when you come back.
It's a different feeling. And so that was always I don't know why that was difficult, but yeah.
No, I can see that. Or the end of the school year growing up.
Right.
Yeah, you're like, yes, summer. But then you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Little things are going to be different when we come back.
Yeah.
I was talking to David yesterday, and he was talking about when he got out of the military. He's like, people say it's PTSD, and that's why so many veterans are committing suicide. And he's like, yes and no. He's like, a lot of people, never were in battle, but they still are having this depression. And why is that? It's because you're with these people day in, day out. They're the only people who know what you've been through. And then you're just released and they're like, bye. And it's a whole different lifestyle change. You may or may not know how to adapt on the outside. Yeah. That's a big trigger for a lot of them. I can see that. One
of my friends has been, in the military for over a decade, I think now. And he had done a deployment last year, I believe. And that was weirdly difficult for me, to say bye and see him leave and, to do that. And I don't know. It was one of those things that I know he's gone on tours and done all these things before. And then he said hey, I gotta go again. And it's just one of those things that I don't think you think about until it happens. You know what that entails. And then, we think we know what that entails. And then they leave, and it was tough.
Were you worried about him, you think?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, he certainly had the experience and knows what he's doing, but at the same time, you're like, I don't know what's happening over there, right? So,
is he going to come back?
Right.
Is he going to come back different?
Right.
Is he going to come back whole? Yeah. It's big stuff. Oh, is he back?
Yeah.
Yay!
He's back. He's safe. He's doing great. Yeah. But it's interesting.
Yeah. It's that's changed a lot too. They used to come back and everybody would celebrate them, and then we're in this weird space where we're like, oh, you're back.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Don't give them time to integrate and everything.
Yeah.
You'd asked a really interesting question on one of the other podcasts that you had done, I can't remember who it was with now. Maybe it was with Ian, but you had asked about how the team members that you are overseeing or that you are working with every day, how they grieve and maybe how they go through that.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah, in the hospice world, I mean, you guys are dealing with that on a much more frequent basis than I would say we are. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
And are the people that are coming into that and that are getting involved with that, I mean, are they, I don't know if used to is the right word, but like, are they kind of accustomed to that lifestyle?
I don't know everybody's background. I really don't, but I know it's personality. You know, everybody's personality is one that you can be calm throughout it and not let it wreck your life that you're dealing with death and dying every day.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys see a lot of death there too. So it's a lot for you guys too. But yeah, I had a family ask me the other day, like, oh, do you guys see a lot of like really exaggerated responses to death? And like, I told her, like, I don't think so. I think hospice does a really good job of preparing people for what's coming and helping manage that. Like from day one on hospice, this is what we're doing. We're educating on what this is going to look like. And you know, kind of, I mean, obviously nobody knows when it's coming. Everybody wants to know. And we can look for certain signs and give an estimate. You know? So we just do our best to prepare. And I think hospice does a very, very good job of that.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I love of hospice. It's helping you be prepared and helping it not be a struggle day to day, you know, providing the comfort. So we haven't, you know, I've seen like a couple really outrageous responses. One of my first day of hospice ever actually was the craziest response ever. And he was like trying to wake her up after she passed. And
is this the family or is this?
Yeah, like the husband.
Oh.
My first day, I was on training still in hospice, and the husband was running in and out of the building yelling, and he was like trying to wake her up and just screaming. And like, I don't know if I remember something about guns. Like he said he had a gun in his car, and I was like,
yeah,
is this what do we do? And she's like, let's just watch him grieve. And if we're worried, like in that case, like we have to, you know, make sure he's safe and not going to do anything to himself or anybody else. So, you know, it did fizzle out after he realized. But that was one of the most extreme I've ever seen on hospice or elsewhere, I think.
Yeah, probably. That sounds like it.
Yeah.
You talk about I like that phrase a lot. That's a better way to ask it. The exaggerated response. And I'm curious, from the team members' perspective, do you have a lot of team members that have an exaggerated response to that?
No, not in hospice. But I was director of nursing before I came to you guys, actually. And yes, because you get a lot. Well, I'm surprised I didn't see it. I didn't oversee staff when I was with you. Okay,
that's fair. Yeah.
So I didn't deal with it too much. And also, no, I did. I'm lying. Yes, I did. Now I'm remembering.
Just block it out.
Well, yeah, I was thinking of one at the previous place where it's like, you know, the team members are running up and down the halls, like wailing and crying. And you were like, okay, I love that you feel so attached to this person, but you know, let's take it to the break room or something. Right. But I remember when I was with you, actually, people would come into like my office all the time and like freaking out. And I would like do the opposite. Like, so if they come to me at a level 10, I'm going to go to -10 because I'm like, I need to, you know, be the yang to your yin or whatever. Like, so I don't know, behind my back, maybe they were like, oh,
she's insensitive.
She is insensitive. She's slow. She doesn't care. But I'm like, I'm trying to bring it down to show you who is like they're caregivers. They've been in this field, yes, but I have a bachelor's degree in nursing and science. And so I need to think about it for a second. Sometimes, even if it's the most dramatic thing ever, I need to gain my composure and not feed off of your energy when I'm going into that room.
Yeah.
And same with when patients call me. I used to, they'd be calling freaking out, or the family members would. And so I'd get in my car and rush as fast as I can. And they're like, oh, they're good now. Okay.
Yeah.
And so same with when your staff would come in irate, I'd be like, okay, let's go together. And I would walk there, not run.
Yeah. Take your time.
Because it's down the hall. My run is not going to get me there much faster to make a difference,
Well, and you show up just out of breath. It's just
out of breath. You scare everybody else in the hallway.
Exactly.
It's not appropriate.
Yeah.
It's not a place where we're doing codes and stuff and saving people's lives necessarily. So I would get there composed. I would take that time to think and process what's going on. Try to remind myself of their diagnoses, their code status. There's a lot going through my mind when I am quote, not responding, not caring,
Right.
So we get a lot of that at the skilled building I worked at too.
Yeah.
It was the CNAs are that nurse just doesn't care. It's you don't know what's going through that nurse's mind. It's a whole checklist before we even get into the room. Yeah. Where is this item? What do we do in this case? There's so much going on.
Yeah.
So.
It's interesting because you asked Ian the question of, does your team have that experience when they come into the role? And his answer was, kind of a mix, I think. I feel like it depends if they've been in that. That's a very common role to, come into with that previous experience. And so I feel like that team certainly does better. And then when you asked him that, I was thinking about it and I was like, a lot of the people that I hire that come in and work for us they're not, they don't have any of that. They've been in all kinds of different industries and this was never one of them.
Yeah.
And there's benefits to obviously having that experience and why you look for that. But at the same time, you don't need it, and you just need to be a compassionate person and have a good heart and
totally.
And
That's your signature line in orientation. We didn't hire you for your experience. We hired you for you.
Yeah. You remember that?
You have to get a new one. Sorry.
Yeah, I know.
No, that's it's true though. You can train anybody,
right?
But you can't train anybody, but if they have the right qualities as a person, then
that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly.
But then people certainly come in and they've never experienced that, right? Some of the
freak out.
Yeah, some of the caregivers, some of the different departments are coming in with no experience in that world. Maybe their parents and grandparents are still alive and they still see them. And then building a connection to somebody that you've worked with for 6 months, a year, a couple of years is extremely difficult to go to see that person for 5 days a week and then not see them anymore.
I know. Especially your team is one-on-one with them.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, you have these exaggerated responses and I think that it goes back to what we were talking about before with you just have to you can't feed off of that energy because it's going to make the situation maybe not a lot worse because I want people to grieve. I want them to feel like it's a space to do that. But when we're in that, in that environment and when we're trying to help the resident or the family or a spouse or whoever it might be, that's not the time to do that because they're looking at us as the professionals in the space to be able to help, and it's just I don't know, to me it doesn't seem appropriate to do it then, but some people can't control that, and so we've had to in the past ask people to leave, and then we come back and then I'll sit down with them and talk through that and say it's not a bad response.
No,
I want to make that very clear that you're going through your own things and you're going to grieve your own way, and but in that moment, we can't do that. And we have to be strong for the family and make sure that they're going through what they need to go through and take care of all those things. And yeah, there's certainly been times that, you know, we go into a residence home and we help with whatever it might be. And then we're strong for the team or the family. And then we walk away in a pretty tough space, especially when we've had those really long relationships or connections with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough.
It is hard. Something that we do in hospice is we have a weekly like bereavement meeting. So then I don't see the same people in my job as like the case managers.
Right.
You know, they're the leaders of that patient's team kind of. So I don't necessarily make the same attachments that they do.
Yeah.
But I think that's really strong, and I don't think that's something you guys do there, but may benefit from, you know, like even monthly or something, like to talk about that, you know, anybody who's passed or even moved out, and they're like, if it really affected them, then they can talk about it. Then, you know, the nurses get together and talk about the patients who passed that in the last week and difficulties they had with the families or difficulties they had or whatever, strengths or strong points or happy stories about them. Like it's kind of an important meeting that we do in hospice.
Yeah. So it's a really interesting concept.
It's actually really beneficial, you know, and sometimes the person's not, you know, I don't always go to it, but if somebody that I did see a lot or something special happened, you know, that I want to, I'm always welcome to attend. Yeah. So I think that's important.
For sure.
Which goes back to just talking about the person, the experience. Yeah.
Are you a crier?
No.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say I'm the same way. I'm not a crier, and you know that doesn't mean that I don't have emotions around it, but
I mean, I've cried before.
Right. I mean, yeah,
when I was pregnant.
100%. Yeah, but I mean, people will say, I mean, I have had that happen where like a family member's passed and I don't cry, and they're like, "Do you not care?" You know, and like, no, that's not the case. It's just I don't have that response to it. And
no. Well, and Jimmy kind of has the like one face.
Yeah. So yeah, it's always been interesting to me that, I mean, everyone has, you know, their own ways.
You've been called out for not caring by the families because you didn't cry?
No, sorry, not by work.
Okay.
I mean, I had a former boss that called me out for, you know, not having maybe the most emotion. But no, my own family is what I mean. Okay. Like I've had, you know, a loved one pass or something like that, and I didn't have that emotional response. I obviously had a emotional response, but it wasn't crying. It was just thinking about the things and talking through that, and but it's not like there's anything wrong with crying. It's just that I don't have that response to things really ever. So I don't. I
think I try to turn mine off, like my cry, because once I start, I like, can't stop. So it's easier just not to start. I remember one time, I think when like the transference, you know, like, oh, this person really like, it reminded me of my grandpa, whatever. Okay. So I got a death call, which means that the person's already died and I have to go and check on them, do whatever I need to do. It was like in the same apartment, not just the complex, the same apartment where my grandparents lived.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, okay. You know, and then
someone
like,
else want to take those?
The funeral home, you know, when veterans, they put the flag over. That just gets me every time. I don't know why. Just like, I love veterans. And like, it reminds me of Grandpa. So it was like the veteran flag and Grandpa's apartment. And I was like, whew, you know, this is a tough one. But what I did in that case was like, I was feeling it, but I told the family, I was like, you know what? Like, my grandparents used to live here, so this is really like emotional for me, besides, you know, dealing with you guys. I just never met you. So, you know, like, but, you know, I told him in a tactful way. I don't remember the conversation, but they were like, that's so cool.
Right.
You know, they thought it was awesome and appreciated my emotional response, which I didn't break down. You know, I'm probably sure that I got teary-eyed when the funeral home brought the flag in, you know, but I think that, you know, is fair to do. So, you know, you can express yourself, but you have to be graceful about it for the families. Yeah.
So the first experience I ever had with that, aside from like maybe a family member or anything, was starting where I'm at now. And I had, you know, just started working there. It was in my first like 3 days. And I had talked to this man the day before, and I one-on-one had talked to him, and he had passed. And so I was like, you know, wow, that's, to think of him standing up and talking to me and having a full conversation to, you know, passing away less than 24 hours later was a pretty crazy thought to me. But then on top of that, I talk about, you know, people that are coming into some of the departments that I oversee not having that experience. I wouldn't say that I certainly wouldn't say that I had any of that experience coming into what I am doing now. And the funeral home arrived, and this man was very tall. And they said, they went down to the home and they came back and they said, hey, we need help. And so I helped them. And it was again, it wasn't that super emotional response, but it was a weird feeling of like, wow, this is what I'm doing now. You know, this is the line of work that I'm in. This is the things that I'm going to experience. And I'd say that was more of a quick learning scenario. Of, you know, you gotta like figure it out. And I was glad that I had the opportunity to do that. I think it helped me a lot to kind of know what I was in for, I guess. Yeah.
That reminds me of some of the times I've helped funeral homes. Okay, I'm gonna add this to my upcoming episode of what hospice nurses wish families knew ahead of time. That. Please set up your loved one's final space in kind of like an easy access area. So we will do whatever you need us to do, but it's harder, and I feel like it might be traumatizing for you to watch if Grandpa's upstairs and there's a split level staircase we have to go down, and it can get complicated. Or if you have to carry your loved one outside up a slope with no stairs in the dark. Yeah, it can get weird. So keep them like in a living room.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
To think about.
It is so interesting. And it's like, I'll do whatever you need me to.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't, you know, if you think about what this person's body is going to go through, you don't think about it.
Right.
You don't think about it when you're setting them up in the upstairs bedroom.
You have a million other things on your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then when it comes down to the time, like, you're going to blame us because this is going to look kind of uncomfortable for a minute. We're going to take the best care we can of him while we're getting him out of your house.
Is it something that you talk to families about prior?
I don't. Maybe the case managers do. We should probably put him in a different room.
That's interesting. I haven't thought about that. But we've certainly come across those same kinds of incidents that are really difficult. I mean, the family's there, and the funeral home needs help, and it's
just offer.
It is certainly.
Step out.
I was going to say they've said that before. Yeah. They've just said, this is going to be a little bit more difficult, and if you wouldn't mind stepping out for a second, we'll let you know when you can come back in. But we don't want you to have to witness all that, and so
sometimes you can't help it.
Right.
Sometimes they have their final hurrah, and they want to get up and land in a weird spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that talking about that, especially with, the coat honors that we do, and the music playing in the background is always one that gets me. And
music is so
the music
emotional.
gets me every time.
Yeah, me too. I know. If I was gonna cry, that would be
Oh,
when
100%.
I did.
Yeah, somebody puts on like a really good song, I'm like, okay, what are you doing here? This is too much. This is yeah. Yeah. I recently heard something that I wanted to get your opinion on. So I heard somebody say that grief is all the unexpressed love that will remain with us until we pass. And so when we talk about having responses to people that pass or whatever it might be, obviously everybody does that in a different way. And I love that we do celebrations of life or different things like that, because again, it allows us to talk about that person and not pretend like maybe they're not there, or that we don't know what happened, but just really share stories. And I feel like that is something that I love so much, of just being able to talk about them and how we knew them and those connections and what they did and the funny little things, what they give us a hard time for. And I love that.
Their funny quirks.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Their lucky socks.
Yeah.
I know. I love that too. I mean, we grieve because of love and then the loss of it, I guess, or...
Well, I think so. Somebody said that in the sense of like, they cry because somebody has passed, and that is their grief because they weren't able to say what they wanted to say, maybe.
Well, I think, but some people have. Like, I think, with my grandparents, it was very open.
Right.
They conversated, and my parents got to say, I'm sad that you're dying. And my grandparents got to say, it's cool, we had a good life.
Right.
So it was the closure was like, the door was closed and it was fine, but we're still going to grieve them.
Right, of course.
But I think if you weren't able to say that, I think the grief could be escalated for sure.
I think that's why when, I said that the friends or those kinds of people, and a lot of those have been, some of them haven't been so sudden, but the friends that have passed, one of them was a really good friend of mine's dad. And that was probably the hardest thing for me, growing up with him, coaching me and doing all kinds of things. And, being a state away from him and his family, and, just overnight things happening and really changing everybody's life and around them. And same thing with growing up, that friends that had, passed, or friends, family members that had passed very tragically or very quickly. I feel like that was always a thing that, really stuck with me and really had an effect on me, more than family that I knew, was on that path, or that was going to pass. And I think that's why, working where I do, I don't necessarily have a lot of those reactions, is because we kind of know what's coming. And obviously your teams do such a great job of being able to say and give an expectation of what that is.
Right.
But when those sudden things happen, you can't always predict what's gonna happen today or tomorrow. And I think that's where it certainly affects me a lot more.
Yeah, it does. When I was pregnant with my middle child, I lost one of my very closest friends. And she was young, but it was a lot of suffering beforehand. So it was super tragic and horrible. But by the time she died, it was such a relief, because she was so in such bad condition. And I think we can always find a way to say, what if? Yeah. She had gotten her diagnosis at the beginning of COVID, so nobody really understood it or knew it. So and then she had one son who was really protective. The kids grew up with me, but he was super protective of, it's his mom and she has cancer, and we don't know what this thing is. And so, I would go in my full garb, whatever, just because we didn't know back then. And so I would wear my mask and my gown to go see her. And I'm like, I don't know what it is. I'm just going to do this to protect you. You know, like you're home, you're immunocompromised. I'm out working as a nurse, you know, so whatever, I'll do this. But then when she was dying, she's like, take off your mask. She was like, I haven't seen your face in 2 years and I miss you. And I can't believe we've done this the whole time. I'm not dying of COVID. I'm dying of cancer. Right. And so, like that kind of risk, like I stayed away more than I absolutely, like had it happened a year before, I would have been there every single day. I probably would have stayed with her overnight, Yeah. So there's that kind of regret. And like I never had COVID. I got tested almost every single day, like same. It was so stupid. I could have just gone to see her, but I kind of stayed away, and it was like to protect her. Well, she died, right? And I missed a lot of time that I should have been there with her. And so that's kind of like a regret that I have. But I know that it was like with the best intention that I did away, I guess. I don't know. Right. I mean, like you can't go back. No. And I didn't know. Hindsight's always 20/20. Yeah, it is. Yeah. I know. So, yeah. So don't hold yourself too accountable for the what ifs. Yeah. I'm sure she needed time with her family alone without me anyway. Right. I was there a lot, even with all that. But I kind of wish I could have been there more. But yeah. Yeah. In terms of, I've been thinking about those events again that you were talking about earlier, and I think I've had families that have had accidents or all kinds of things, and that was like such a, especially the person I was talking about earlier, and I like always have like this little wristband on to kind of, which is so cute. My daughter has that tattooed. Oh really? Oh Hannah. So it always like gives me a little reminder of who he is in his spirit, and kind of lifts my day, especially if I'm having a harder day. Kind of just remember he's just always one of those people that's, he could be having the worst day ever and he's always super positive. That's how she was. Yeah. Like a light that we didn't need to leave yet. Yeah. I hate that. But it's one of those things where that's what I mean in terms of, since that, especially like those grieving those instances or those accidents or those things that happen, because you're like, wow, I don't know what could happen tomorrow. And so just trying to spend as much time as you can with, those people that you love. Yes, I know. That's true. Like we can honor them by like living our best lives and doing what really matters. Not Yeah. 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 Cool. Okay. I think you went through like, so a sudden tragic accident, kind of like your friend, is different than like a sudden death of an older resident. Like, remember we had that resident, she was on your side, but she was always on my side, and she was like all over the place. Everybody knew her. She was in everybody's face, making jokes all the time. And then like the next day she was gone, and we're like, okay, well she, she was like 97 years old or something. So that's kind of expected. But at the same time, we weren't expecting it because she was like walking around making dirty jokes like 2 days before. Right. But it was like not as much of a shock because of her age, I guess. And she had a great life. Right. It's funny that you bring her up. A similar experience kind of around that. It wasn't this specific resident, but you talked about orientation earlier, and there's somebody that I always gave an example of, and just her behavior and how positive she was, and how she, what it looked like to build relationships, because it's really important, and making sure that team members knew that. Basically the example was, if you come in and you saw her interaction with another team member that had been there for 15, 20 years, they would just give each other a bear hug. Right? Yeah. You didn't have to say anything, didn't have to do anything. Yeah. But if you went up to give her a bear hug, as sweet as you are, she'd probably hit you with her cane. And so the first time that I had said that in orientation after she had passed, I didn't think of it before I said it. I just had said it because I've said it for years. Yeah. And in orientation, it took me a second
kind of refocus.
Oh no, my slide's over, buddy.
Just like, whoa, didn't expect that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's one of those things of you don't realize the impact of people or those stories and how important it is to continue to talk about that.
Do you still tell the story?
I do.
I love that.
I do still
Good.
tell the story.
Good. Yeah, don't let her legacy die.
No.
So I think a good moral of today's conversation is like, don't judge other people's way of grieving.
Yeah.
Because you might look like Jimmy with a smile on your face all the time, but you're like hurting inside.
Right.
And some people might melt down too much. And we, as staff, need to manage that. But if the families are breaking down, okay, you know, like we can't judge how other people do it. Some people might get angry. Some
100%.
people might run over and start selling their family members' stuff that same day. Some might hoard it and hold on to it for years.
Yeah.
We've seen it all. And you can't judge it.
No.
Because you don't know how you're going to grieve until it happens to you. And you're not going to know even when it happens to you, I think, because every grief situation is different too.
Yeah, I mean, that's so true.
Yeah.
Just people all have their own ways of doing things. And I think the most that we can do is just be there to support them when they need that, whatever that looks like. Yeah, I think, you know, something kind of in closing thoughts, that I think that one thing that's always stood out to me is there's so much outreach that happens when somebody passes, whether that is, well, I mean, normally there's so much outreach of checking in, seeing how that person's doing, or how their family might be doing. And while there is a rush that comes with that right after that incident, after 4 days, that it slows, or maybe it stops.
Yeah.
And so in talking with the team or talking with friends, family, whatever it might be, that's always been something that's just been like, hey, there, you know, you can say something now, and yes, it's going to help, maybe, just depends on what they need. But there is a period of time that those feelings kind of slow down, or you said what you were going to say, and then that, you know, that slows down for the family too, and it helps to just get little reminders or little stories or different things. And so occasionally I know other team members have reached out like, hey, is this appropriate for me to, you know, share this letter or this story with a family of, you know, I thought about this last night, and I spent maybe an hour thinking about, you know, how our relationship was, or the funny things she would say, or, and I mean, encourage all of that, because that's so cool to be able to see the impact that others have had on, you know, your life and everything like that. So
yeah, that's true. I mean, I would be open to it. Did you listen to my interview with Catherine?
No, I haven't heard that.
Okay. She talked about like how, and this happened like multiple occasions, like residents that she was really close with. Yeah. Like she would have a dream that they were saying goodbye to her, and she'd wake up and she'd be like, did this person die? And we'd be like, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Like super specific dreams, like before she could have possibly known that person actually died. And she just navigated the families. Like she knew one family particularly would love the story, so she told them, and the family was like, oh, that's so cool, you know. But then if she didn't know the family as well, she wouldn't share, or, you know, you just kind of have to navigate that. But she thought that was super special. It was so cool. Yeah, like one of them, you have to listen to it, but one of them was like on a train, and she's like, come with me, and
wow.
And she was like, no, I can't go with you. She's like, okay, well then bye. And she was like happy, and, you know, like her body was youthful again. Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Pretty weird and cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Do you believe in the afterlife?
Yeah. I think there's, I don't necessarily know all of my beliefs or anything like that. And that's something that I'm, you know, kind of always interested in, and I would say working on. And But I would say I believe that there's something after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you believe people who have passed on can communicate with us?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the butterfly thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And whether they can or not, I think it's something that helps all of us to grieve that loss. And yeah, I think that that's super, super special, and that we can, come up with things. You say the sand dollar, and I know that it was Madeline that said the ladybug.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so those things that we can remember and just give us a little reminder. I mean, I wear, like I said, I wear the bracelet, and I realize I'm not directly talking to him, but I just think of him, and it gives me that reminder of somebody's energy and attitude, and, just a reminder of myself to be a better person, or to do whatever it might be. So yeah, I think we can communicate.
Yeah. I was just thinking, like, have you seen all the rainbows lately? Because it's been real rainy and cloudy. Okay, so my friend Jessica that I was talking about, who passed away, like, I think of her when I see rainbows. Okay, so I think of her when I see rainbows. Do I think every rainbow is a sign from Jessica? No, I don't. But when I was, like, on my way to, like, do one of my first podcasts, I was, like, had her in my mind, and the first thing I saw when I left my driveway was a big rainbow, like, right in front of me. Right. Like, that one was placed for me from Jessica, as opposed to me just thinking, like, there's differences in the signs, but they're all equally as meaningful,
Right. Right.
Like, I can go online on Amazon and buy a $10 necklace because it reminds me. Oh, I did. I bought a clamshell because our other one was a clamshell. So I bought this clamshell. I'm like, oh, this reminds me of Grandma. But then, like, it's a difference, I think.
Yeah, finding it in your car is going to be a much different experience than just like,
totally.
I intentionally went out and did this.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've just been leaving, when I walked here, I've just been leaving $10 like all over the place.
Thanks.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's...
My mom was like, well, he'll put it in your car. I'm like, no, nobody put it in my car, Grandma. I don't know how it got there.
Yeah.
Nobody planted it in my car.
Yeah, just let me think what I want to think. Okay.
And that was before I told the story. So yeah, maybe people will give me $10 now. That's fine. I love that. That's like the law of attraction or whatever, But that first one, that was before I even said anything about Grandma, anything about $10. Nothing had been said or even thought in a long time. So funny.
In talking about that, it's really funny that your story behind the $10 and everything, and we had that same idea with the butterfly about my grandmother, and at her celebration of life, her physical therapist that was working with her came to the celebration, and she's like, hey, I found something, and I don't know why. I have no idea why I got it. I don't know if you even want it. But I saw it, it spoke to me, and I, bringing it. And it was a piece of art of a butterfly. And, one of it's just.
She was like a messenger.
Yeah. It
she was like, I don't know
so
why,
strong of like, well, we talked about butterflies, or we liked butterflies, and, I just thought of it. And so that was kind of the. Yeah. Like, oh, wow, that's ironic that we all feel that way. And I think they talked about it at the celebration of like, I don't know if it was directly about the art or just like, we're going to see her around, flying around as a butterfly. And
that's cool.
Always got me. Cool. Yeah.
I love those. Yeah. So like you could see a butterfly and then you'll think of Grandma, but then like one day, like one will come sit on your shoulder and you're like, get off. It won't leave you alone.
You see,
and
like,
you're like, okay.
See like 100 butterflies. You're like, oh, those aren't all Grandma. Yeah. No, I get
But if you see 100 butterflies, you're like, okay, boom.
Yeah.
That I had a dream one night. So I had another friend pass away 8 months ago, I think, like almost to the date of today. And I didn't know her as well as this friend, but she was very close. And I had a dream about her. And in my dream, she was like, blah, 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 talking like British. I was like, oh, that's funny, you know? And it was like memorable enough where I like went and told her family, and they're like, she would do that all the time. And I was like, I had never heard her because I wasn't, you know, with her in that that capacity.
That silly space.
Yeah. And they're like, no, her husband's like, she would do that all the time where it would like almost embarrass me in public. I'm like, oh my God, like, how could I possibly know that? You know? And so I'm like, I definitely think that was a sign from her. She wanted me to talk to her family and say she's here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super special.
I know. It's pretty crazy. It's wild stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Thanks
you
so
for
much.
having me on. It's such a great
Anytime. What's your podcast going to be called?
I don't know. You know, it's funny. I've thought about that a lot. And just like, I love leadership. I love culture. I love having those conversations with people. And just, I love learning about people, about the way they do things or their thoughts behind something is super interesting. And that's why I listen to a ton of different podcasts, but when I know somebody that's having those conversations, it's even more meaningful to just be able to find out about them and why they want to do what they do and how they think. So thank you for having me on.
Of course. Okay. Conversations with Jimmy coming soon.
Conversations with Jimmy coming soon. I love that.
All right. Final question. How much can you lift nowadays?
That's a very broad question.
What's your favorite lift? I don't know. Deadlift.
Deadlift? I've deadlifted 500 pounds.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That was in a competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. I try. A little skinny person, so yeah. I enjoy it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank
I need
you.
to get back into lifting. I did it for like maybe 5 months once.
See, you keep saying that. We had this conversation before, and she's like, people ask me, and I just say I don't work out. But then now, okay, are you I don't know what to call it, third degree black belt?
Third degree black belt, yeah.
Yeah, so she's going to like kick my butt while we're sitting here. Just, I don't know what to expect. Say something bad. You just like
bounce off of your muscles.
Start beating me up. I don't know.
No, I'm kind of like a closet martial artist. Like you said, some people like, nobody would know.
Yeah, nobody would know. You're just going to go beat everyone up.
No, I'm never going to beat anybody up. Okay, thank you. It's been fun.
All right.
I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Bye. Hey, thanks for listening. Before you go, if you'd like more episodes, behind-the-scenes updates, and a growing library of comforting resources, please join me at patreon.com/deathismylife. Your support helps this podcast grow and reach more people who need it. And if this episode resonated with you, please share the podcast with someone who might find comfort in it too. I'll see you there. This episode is brought to you by Havern Cabinetry and Design, a family business built on more than 50 years of master craftsmanship. Since 1972, owner Rick Havern has delivered immaculate, custom-built cabinetry and countertops for projects of every scale, from luxury homes to hotels, hospitals, and retail environments. Whether you're renovating a home or outfitting an entire building, their work will exceed your expectations. Learn more or request a quote at haverncabinetry.com. Link in the show notes.